Hey everybody, today we're going to do a video on my 79 F-150. Previous video, I did the body work, painted it, and it come out pretty clean, but I still want to wet sand and buff it just to, the shine that's on here after you paint it, it's shiny but not thick. So about everything I painted over the years, other than if it's just a quickie paint job on something, but this is something I care about enough. I'm going to give it a quick wet sand and then buffing, or I'm going to show you different products I use. I actually have, I think it's 1200 and 1500 grit paper that go on a DA, and I'll show you. I'm not going to do that to this because I don't want to get that aggressive with it. I'm going to do enough of it to show you that's one way of doing it. A lot of people, it drives them nuts when they see a DA, but some pretty expensive paint jobs over the years I've seen done. That's what the guys do. They'll knock it down with a DA with like, I believe you can get 1000, 1200 and 15. And I believe they also make like a 2000 grit that goes on a DA. I'll show you. It's a special paper 3M makes. I've had super luck with it. Years ago, a lot of paint jobs, it was just a quick way of doing it. I worked at what I call a production. It was a dealership, but it was a production shop where you painted something, baked it, sanded it, and got it out the door. People picked that up at 5 o'clock that night. So the DA was the way to go. Another good thing about this truck is it's set now for probably 6 or 8 weeks. So what's on here is hardened right up. I've always felt something will wet sand and buff easier once that stuff's cured, all the way. I never liked working in shops like that where you had to paint something in the following morning, get it wet sand buffed out. I actually did stuff where I painted it in the morning. People picked it up at 5 o'clock because we'd bake the paint on and cure it basically. But this here, I'm gonna do a quick video on how I do it. I'm old school compared to what a lot of guys probably do. A lot of guys didn't like the way I did the body work in that video and all that, but I'll show you some of the products I'm going to use. This is the Stick It 3M. This is 1200. Actually, see that's 1000. It's a real. That's what the back looks like. It's a real thin. It comes with a backing paper on it. Come on. Plus the one I'm showing you on camera is not cut right, so it's like not popping off good. So that comes off. It's a very almost see-through sandpaper if you look at it. So, like I said, it's made for, it's sticky back, I guess is what you call it. It's what they used to call it. I don't know what it's called. They sell the same stuff in Velcro, but it goes on a DA. Pretty much you keep it flat as much as like I said, that's one option you have. I've done a lot of stuff with it. A lot of guys that do body work, they'll be like coming unhinged when you see a DA go against paint, but so that's one option you got. That isn't what I'm going to do to this truck because it's really not that bad. Another thing too with DA in it is you want to make sure you put a pretty serious coat of clear on it so you can put, I shouldn't say clear. I mean, you can do, if the old acrylic enamel paints are the same way. What I'm using today is just, this is a company called, it's Napa brand, basically Tech paper, but it's a wet sand, wet dry sandpaper, real thin. You'll see later on in the video, I'll have a bucket of water. You just dip it in a bucket of water. All I'm going to do is knock this down a little bit to buff back up. It really doesn't need much. Didn't have a lot of what I call snots in them. No, I didn't. It come out pretty clean for something. I'm doing this too. It ain't like a show rig. But I'll actually just take a piece like this, have it folded 3 times. As a section wears out, you just unfold it and use the other piece. But you'll see, I also use, this is a same thing. It's a soft block from Napa. 3M makes them too. you can wrap it around that, dip it in the bucket. If I got a clean spray bottle, like an old Windex thing, you'll see me spray it. But you'll see, I'm gonna use the product. And as far as buffing it out, I'm gonna show you my arsenal of stuff. These are all products. I don't have no preference. 3M makes some good stuff. What you'll find, back when I painted a lot, sometimes the Meguiar stuff works better than the 3M, depending on the product. This was painted with Tech Base from Napa. But I'll try all these and I'll find one works better than the other. I do like the Meguiar stuff. Like they have the fine, medium, that's the medium. And then they got the heavy cut, and I think there's one in between that. The product, like this is old school. This is something, the 3M Finesse It. This has been around probably since the 80s. You can get it. It got real hard to get for a while, because as the newer paints go, the compounds change with it. I still find that Finesse It 2 is like one of the best products. The compound from that same era, I don't even believe you can get anymore. But that used to be the best compound. Now all of them are more environmentally friendly. You know, you'll see this is the rubbing compound. That's the Perfect It compound, which is a little bit different. They're just not as aggressive, but you don't have to be with the new clear coats. But the rest of the video is pretty much going to be, I'll wet sand and buff it and show you the end results. So we'll get back to it. The 1500 grit, and dip it in the water. Basically just give it a light. Like I said, I'm not looking to, this is a major job if you were doing something like you restored a car or something. But basically, a little bit of water and wet dry paper, and this was like a major restoration. I'd probably start with 1000 real lightly, go to 1200 and then 1500, and then buff it out. But like I said, this is for what I'm doing with this truck. This is what a lot of people wouldn't even have touched it. I just think it's even in a case like this when it's pretty clean, I think it helps. Just cleans it up a little bit more, and it's a shine. The best way to explain it is the shine that was on it wasn't thick, it was just shiny. To get a little thicker, like a fingernail polish shine, is you got to wet sand and buff it. I don't care who paints it. Whether you use urethane or not urethane. Some of the urethanes, if you get a guy that can really bail it on and not run it to the floor, you can make a pretty good shine. But most of the time, anytime something that someone cares about normally gets wet sand and buff. You may not see that in the videos, or you go to car shows and see something that's real clean. It's normally been color sanded and buffed. So I've never spent big bucks on buffers. This is a DeWalt. I have a couple of these. It's a different. These are the different pads. I believe this is a 3M pad. Yeah, it is the 3M. This is a quick change head. Biggest thing you want, the old style. When I started doing this, when I was in my 20s. Actually, I started doing this when I was 15. I painted my first car when I was 15, and it came out pretty good. And I ended up working for a body shop before I turned age 16. I had a niche for it, not everybody does. But the original pads I used to start out with, the cheap grinders I had back then were probably Black & Decker. They used to have a big washer that went here that you had to squeeze everything on. And every once in a while you'd get flat with it, and you'd basically repainting. So these are better. You still can't flat. You always want this in a little bit so you don't heat up anyways in an angle. But like I said, I'm not an expert at this. I'm pretty good at it. I don't do it much anymore. I used to paint. Even when I first started this landscape business, I bet I painted, I'm gonna guess 8 to 20 cars a year for different people. I had an older gentleman that pretty much, if I was slow in the winter, he'd call me and have me restore a car for him. I did that for 4 or 5 years when I was younger. a lot of people that just knew I did it. People still call me, and I'm like, no, a couple guys from high school will ask me once in a while, hey, my son needs a car. It's like, just can't do it no more. That and it's the fun, doing something like this kind of cool because it's mine. I don't really want to do any customer work ever again. I'm going to try with the 3M first. Take the spur and just clean it out once in a while. That will build up. That seems to be cutting it, so I'm going to probably stick with it. Like I said, you'll see me use a different product because depending on what type of paint it is, they'll take different. I think since I got the foam pad on, I'm going to try to finesse it. I don't want to do this whole video like hours. I'm probably gonna. It's probably a. I'm gonna probably have a 7 or 8 hour day in this today getting it buff. I want to do a short video on it. And I'll show you the end results too at the end of the day. Normally I wouldn't go until I buffed the whole car, the whole vehicle with compound. I wouldn't do that. I just want to do this to show you in the video. Take a quick detail. I don't really have any preference with those neither. I think they're a good way for me to clean this to show you, but I mean I ain't a big fan of them. I think all it is like a water with a touch of wax in it. I haven't really been sold on the ceramic stuff that's out there yet neither. I did see a truck a few weeks ago that a guy a couple towns away really pushes the product and does a good job, but he also doesn't just ceramic coat your car. He'll do a 3-step mirror glaze. But I want to show you that. I guess I want to do it at an angle, but just that light wet sanding, like I said, 1500. I did hit this a little bit with the DA just to show you, but I hope in the camera it shows. But it just gives you a, what I call a fingernail polish type thick shine. I'm hoping the camera's getting that, but it's just unbelievable. I'll have 7 or 8 hours in doing this today, but it will make this paint job have a lot more punch. So, I mean, you can feel this, the touch of it is just, it's smoother. Like I said, up here you'll see where I didn't buff yet. You just knock it down enough. I did actually the whole side of this truck I touched with the DA, then I went over it, and what I haven't yet, I'm gonna go over with the wet sand You can see here, I'll show you there, I haven't buffed out quite enough, there's still some haze. But back here, this is gonna look pretty sweet when it's all done. And I'll tell you what, this is another thing I'm gonna tell anybody that does paint work or wants to get something done. When you go to a shop and you look at your car and it's inside a shop with fluorescent lights, if it looks good under a fluorescent light, it's gonna look awesome outside. The fluorescent light's what's gonna show you any little snot or imperfection that's in that paint. But like I said, that to me, it has a thickness to it. And when this goes outside in the sun, it's a real rainy day today, so I'm not gonna do it. But I just want this out of my shop. That's why it was a rainy day. Everything I'm doing landscape wise, I can't do because of the rain. So I'm like, I'm gonna take today and bust butt out here and get this sun out of here. Get the bed bolted on. Because I don't have time to be doing this right now, but I'm kind of full. I want it out of the shop so I can get my dump truck into work. That's gonna be another video. I gotta fix that. So, but I just figured I'd show you this real quick. I'm hoping that the shine I'm seeing shows in this camera. So, buff this out. I showed yesterday. This is the next day. Just makes a nice looking paint job, I think. But overall, I think I'm happy with that. Funny part is, I did this, I wet sanded and buffed it yesterday, cleaned it up a little bit this morning. I got someone coming to look at it that might want it the way it's, I was going to finish it and drive it and then have it for sale while I drive it, but I got someone coming today who wants to make me an offer on it before I go any further on it. And it's one of those things. I did this, I originally bought this just to flip. I wasn't even going to touch it. Then I made the mistake every guy makes, and you start playing around with it. It's like, but if I can get out of it, as long as I'm making money, I really don't care. I've painted a lot of trucks over the years, and then just, you know, didn't even get them put together. He's probably bought, I'm gonna guess, better than 25 trucks from me over the years. It's a very good investment for anybody watching this video. You may have to sit on something during a downturn, but when things are good, trucks like this sell. Someone that had one of these when they were younger, high school. I graduated in '89, but in high school I always had one of these. Pretty much from when I got my license on, I love these things. A lot of people ask me on my YouTube stuff what else, you know, what I do other than that. But this is the one thing I actually went to school for. Got a little bit of schooling on this auto body and paint, but it's just reality is I don't want to do it for a living. It's not an easy thing. Like yesterday, I got 7.5 hours in wet sand and buffing this truck, and some people appreciate it, some people don't. And the chemicals, I promised my wife I'd get out of it, and I did. Do a quick walk around. Figured I'd do a quick walk around, show you the end results, I guess. And like I said earlier in the video, if you can get something to look good under fluorescent lights, it's gonna look good, real good outside. So, I showed you earlier in the video some of the 3M stuff. Still like to finesse it. I use this a lot when I'm just like cleaning something up to sell. That's a good. It's not real aggressive, but works real well. The medium cut's what I found really worked well on this base coat, clear coat. I use the ultra clear, I believe is what they call it, from Napa on this. Like I said, every product that you use, like there's so many different paint products these days. Back when I first started doing this, I mean, it was acrylic enamel, Centauri, you could get Nason. There might have been 5 names. Now there's probably 150 names of different paint companies, but they all cut different as far as sanding into them, buffing them. Sometimes the 3M stuff works good, sometimes the Maguire. But I just figured I'd do the last walk around, show you. And I don't know if there'll be any more videos on this truck or not. I think it might be leaving today. I got one of my friends that's bought a lot of trucks from me over the years. I mean, literally, he's probably bought 20 something trucks from me anyway. He still has my 67 that I had for a long time that you might see that. I might do some pictures of stuff that I've done over the years paint wise, and that will be in. I painted that. I had that truck long enough, so I painted it twice. So call this video right here. I wanted it to be a short video, but can't be. I just figured I'd do some other videos of different stuff I do other than the landscape business. And people ask me too, and this truck's, think's already been in 2 videos that I did, but I wanted to wet sand and buff it. I got to bring my dump truck in for the damage I did to that, so I wanted this put together so I can get it out. I might put it in the other garage, but it doesn't need to be in here anymore. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. I think it looks a lot better, so someone might be buying it today too, the way it sits. So I got somebody that wants to make me an offer on it without me finishing it all the way, which I'm fine with that. As long as I come out the other end all right, I'm good with that. So thanks for watching.